Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum students. Here I am your science teacher from Ismailia Youth Services School for class 7 science. Please make sure that you have your science book along with you and take the screenshots of every slide which will be shared over here. Students, today we are going to start the new chapter, that is living organism and their environment. This chapter is present in your book as unit number 5 on page number 38. Living organisms and their environment means today we are going to learn the relationship of living organisms and their environment. You know, there are more than 1 million different kinds of animals and more than 350,000 different kinds of plants are found on the earth. And they are present in the different places on the earth with different environment. But wait, what is environment? Firstly, we should know what is the environment. Actually, environment is the surrounding in which the living organism lives. The surrounding in which living organism lives is called its environment, and it includes all the physical features or all the things which affect the way of life of the plants or animals. Means the air, the water condition of temperature, the condition of soil, the all things. Suppose that you are in the classroom. What things make your classroom environment? Suppose that you are in your class, you are taking your class in the school. What things are present around you that make your class as a classroom? In your class, the number of students, the teacher, the desks, the blackboard or the green board, books, copies, stationaries, all these things, and your class fellows, your friends, they all make the classroom environment. In this, the living and non-living things which are present around you, they make your classroom environment. That's why we said that the surrounding in which living organism lives is called its environment. It includes all the physical conditions such as climate, soil, water, and other organisms that live in the same place. The interaction between the living organism and environment is very important, and even there is a branch in the biology which deals with the relationship between the living organism themselves and with their surrounding, and this branch name is ecology, means the environmental study is done in a separate branch of science and is termed as the ecology, and the scientists who study this environmental biology or ecology, they are called ecologists. It proves that relationship between the living organism and the environment has so importance. So moving forward or before learning about the environment and their importance, we should know some terms. And these terms are the habitat, the community, the population, the ecosystem. So let me share. Habitat. Actually, habitat is the home address, a home address of living organism. Or we can say the place where plants and animals live is called its habitat. We can say the habitat of fish is the water, the habitat of cactus is the desert area, and the habitat of earthworm is the moist soil. Means the place where the organism live is called its habitat, or in other words, we can say the home address of living organism is its habitat. The community. Actually, Not a single organism found in a one place. In a place, there are number of organisms are found in the habitat or in a place. So, the group of living organisms that share the same place as a habitat, so these organisms make a community, or we can say the group of living organisms sharing a habitat is called a community. Many kinds of plants and animals are, are sharing the same place as a habitat. For example, in a freshwater pond, we found the number of algae, pond weeds, frogs, insects, and small fish because all these living organisms share the freshwater pond as their habitat, and these all living organisms make a community. I hope you understand. Our next term, our next term is the population. Yes, uh, as we have shared that in a community, the variety of living organisms found or the variety of living organisms share the same place. But we didn't find any one earthworm in the garden. We didn't find any one grasshopper. There are the number of earthworms, number of grasshoppers, number of grasses, number of plants. So the number of creatures of the same kind that living in a habitat they call population. The territory of ants that share a same habitat is called the population of ants. Or we can say in a hill forest, we find the population of squirrels, a number of squirrels, a group of squirrels, group of monkeys, group of pine trees, they are found in the same habitat. So we found the population of squirrel, we found the population of monkey, we found the population of pine tree. Again, I repeat, the number of creatures of same kind living in a habitat is called population. In other or very simple words, the number of people living in a city, they make the population of people. The number of students sitting in the class, they make the class population. So the same kind of living organism that sharing a habitat is called population. And the ecosystem. Actually, ecosystem is a community of organisms together with the habitat. Means variety of living organism, they share the habitat with their population, so they make the ecosystem. Actually, ecosystem is based on two parts, the biotic part or the abiotic part, or we can say the biotic component and abiotic component. Actually, biotic component in the biotic component includes all the living organisms like the producer, consumer, decomposer. What are producer? Producer all type of green plants that prepare their own food. And the consumer, all type of animals that cannot make their food but directly or indirectly they depend upon the plants. And the decomposers are the bacteria, fungi that decompose the living organism after their death. So all these living component is called biotic component. And the non-living part, what are the non-living part of the ecosystem? The non-living part of ecosystem is the quantity of oxygen, the nitrogen, the carbon, the temperature, the soil, the amount of air. All these are the non-living part, and they are called the term as the abiotic component of the ecosystem. Again, I repeat, ecosystem is a community of organisms. Variety of organisms make a community and they together live with the habitat. And ecosystem has two parts, the biotic component and abiotic component. Biotic component based on living part that is the producer, consumer, and decomposer. While the non-living part is called the abiotic component, and it includes the oxygen, the nitrogen, the carbon, the temperature, the soil. So they all make the ecosystem. And there are different ecosystem in different areas. Yes. Now come to environment. There are two types of environment: artificial environment and natural environment. Firstly, focus on the artificial environment. As you understand with their name, artificial environment is the man-made environment, the environment which is made by the man. And why man need to develop an environment? Actually, we find some living organisms which going to be rare, which are endangered or going to be extinct. So, or we want to study them. So, people need to create an artificial environment, and in this artificial environment, the human control temperature, light, and water, and develop an ideal living condition for the living organism. And in this ideal living condition, or the artificial environment, we kept the rare species of animals, birds, fish, and plants for their living survival, for their survival. Okay, we kept the rare species of animals, birds in the zoo, and we kept the rare species of fishes in the aquarium, while the rare species or endangered species of plants are kept in the greenhouses. So the zoo, the aquariums, and the greenhouses are the man-made, and they are the example of artificial environment. I hope you understand. Yes. What is the natural environment? The environment which is made by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is called the natural environment. And in the natural environment, the conditions are natural. So animal who lives in the natural condition for which they are best suited and their bodies are well adapted for these conditions means their body are very suitable to live in that specific environment. They have some adaptation, some modifications in their body. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala modified their body and make them best suited to live in the particular environment. This type of environment is called the natural environment. There is a variety of natural environment, like the environment in the hill, environment in the valley, environment in the sea, environment in the desert. There are different types of environment, but they are the natural environment which is made by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I also want to share you the example. The frog can live on land as well as in water. So frogs are usually seen near the ponds. The bear, polar bear, mostly live in the Arctic Ocean. So it has too much fur, the thick fur on its body. Its body is well suited to live in the Arctic Ocean or the icebergs. But there are some important features which play important role in the natural environment. As I told you, there are a variety of natural environment. So these variety are made by some features, some changes in the features. And what are these features? These features are the climate, the soil, the landscape, and other living organisms. The climate is different in different areas, the soil is different in different areas, the landscape is different in different areas. Okay, we will move one by one and share these features one by one. The climate. What is the climate? Actually, climate is a long-term weather condition in a particular area. Long-term weather condition, for example, in the desert, the temperature is hot, weather is dry. So, the climate of desert is hot and dry. The Arctic Ocean, in the Arctic Ocean, the temperature is very low and the things are covered with ice. So the climate of this Arctic Ocean is cool and icy. Quantity of rainfall, the temperature, the amount of sunshine, all these things, they affect the plants and animals living in a particular areas, and they have some changes, some modifications, some adaptations to live in the specific area, specific place. That's why we can say the long-term weather condition in a particular area is called climate, and climate is different in different areas. Next feature is the soil. There are a variety of soil. If the soil is sandy, so it have large air space and it cannot hold water. It is light and dry. That's why it do not have the water holding capacity. And that's why in the sandy soil we didn't find too much plants. We didn't find the water resources in these soils. While the clay soil, the clay soil have fine particles and there is no air space and they hold a lot of water. They are heavy and wet. So plants and animals that grow in this clay soil, they get the sufficient amount of or required amount of water easily. It means that the plants and animals that live in the sandy soil or that live in the clay soil, they are totally different with each other. The sandy soil is found in the desert area, and the plants that grow in the sandy soil, they have thick fleshy leaf and stem, so they cover they cover with a wax layer to stop evaporation. They absorb water in them in their thick fleshy leaves, means the plant that grow in the sandy soil, they have some specific adaptation, while the plants or the animals that live in the clay soil, they have some other or different adaptations. It means these features affect on the life of the living organism. Next feature is the landscape. The type of landform affect the living organisms because it causes changes in the climatic condition. For example, the climate of valley is quite different from the climate at the top of the mountain. At the top of the mountain, there is less amount of oxygen, while in the valley, oxygen is in sufficient quantity. So, the growth of plant or the variety of the plants and animals is quite different in the valley and at the top of the mountain. It means the landscape also affect the life of living organisms. And any other living organisms that live in the environment or that live in the specific area, they also affect the life of living organisms. The animals and plants who share the same habitat, they compete with each other for food. They compete for light, for water, for shelter. So animals and plants mostly need to fight with each other to get the food, the light, the water, and this fighting, this competition also affect on the population. Human also play its role as for in our natural environment. Actually, human also pollute the environment by the vehicles, number of vehicles, by the factories, continuously increasing factories. By these things, human pollute the environment. They destroy or disturb the environment. It means the plants, animals, and humans, they also affect the natural environment. These are the important features which affect on the natural environment. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made environment are affected by the climate, soil, landscape, and other living organisms. Now, the next term, the adaptation. What is adaptation? Actually, adaptation is the characteristics or the features which animal adopt, which animal get, and by this adaptation the living organism enable themselves and make themselves to suited, and they easily live in the specific environment. They have some adaptations. Uh, the the living organism that found in the specific area, they have some specific adaptations, and due to these adaptations they prove themselves to best suited in the environment. Now I am sharing you the adaptations in different plants. The desert plant, the plants that we found in the desert, they have some specific adaptations that are that they have the spreading roots. Their roots are spreading very large in search of water, because in the desert there are not too much rainfall. The soil do not hold the water. That's why they have the spreading roots in search of water. Their stem are thick and fleshy. Because of this fleshy and thick stem, they store water in them to survive for long hot days, or to survive in a long time without getting water. They have spines or hairs on the stem and leaves. Students, if you remember, we learned about the stomatas. Their stomatas, the plants who grow in the desert, their stomatas are covered with the spines, and their they have hairs on the stem. Why? To minimize the evaporation of water, because they receive too much sunshine, so water can easily evaporate, which they store in their stem and leaves. To reduce this evaporation, they have spines or hairs on the stem and leaves, and they are covered with a waxy layer. This waxy layer is also called the waterproofing layer. So this waxy layer also minimize the evaporation of water. These are the main adaptations that we found in the desert plant. And if you observe the plants in the water, which type of adaptation we found? We found they have flexible stem, and this flexible stem help them to do not damage by the strong water current. When the water is moving with strong current, so their stem cannot be damaged because they have flexible in nature. And the plants that grow in the water, so the most part of the plant is grown under the water. That's why they easily survive in the water. Their stem, their leaves and roots have air spaces, because they feel difficulty to respire in the water. That's why their stem, leaves and roots also have air spaces, and by this they can easily respire or do the process of gaseous exchange. These adaptations we observe in the water plants. Now the swamp plants. What are the swamp plants? Swamp plants are also called halophytes. They grow in the marshy area, or marshy area means the muddy area where the amount of salt is too much high, right? In the water, in the salty water, the plant that grow, they are called swamp plants, and they are also called halophytes because they have special breathing roots, they have salt glands, and they have arched roots. Arched roots. If you hear the name of mangrove trees in our coastal areas, there is a long area which are covered by the mangrove swamp. Mangrove trees are the example of the swampy plants. If you have ever visited, so you can easily understand that their roots are above the ground, and these special roots are termed as the breathing roots because they grow in the muddy area where they cannot easily breathe or they cannot easily get the air. And they also have the arched roots. The root but spread horizontally, and due to these arched roots, they can easily hold in the muddy area. They also have a salt gland. By this salt gland, the excess amount of salt which is present in the water, they can get rid of it. Or we can say by these salt glands, they can get rid of the excess amount of salt which is present in the muddy area, right? Again, the arch roots help them to fix them in the muddy area. These are the adaptations that we found in the swamp plants or halophytes. This term halophytes is already written in your box. Next adaptation is the mountain plants. The mountain plants are evergreen, they grow very slowly, they have waxy needle-like leaves because at the top of the mountain the quantity of oxygen is low and they have too much cold area. That's why they grow very slowly, they have needle-like leaves and by this they can survive easily. Their stem is thin, they are too much long and they have mostly the mountainous plants do not have any flower. They belongs to gymnosperm. Next adaptation is the rainforestry. Rainforestry means the rainforest plants. Rainforest is the forest where which receive a continuously rains and they are mostly evergreen. That's why their plants grow and they make a canopy. The plants make a canopy, umbrella-like canopy, and they are termed as the yes. The plants in the rainforest are mostly evergreen. They are tall and they form the canopy of umbrella-like structure of their leaves. And this canopy, this umbrella-like structure of the trees, with the help of the leaves, they shed the sunlight. They stop the sunlight to fall on the ground. That's why only few plants can survive on the grounds and rest of the or some plants can climb on the stem of the tall trees and they reach the top of that plant and where they grow. The plants which grow at the top of the tree, so they are called epiphyte. Means we can find the epiphyte plants in the rainforest and why they climb on the tall trees to get the sunshine. These epiphytes prepare their own food. And these epiphytes are not the parasites. I hope you understand. Again, I said in the rainforest, the plants leaf or plants or the trees top make a canopy or the umbrella-like covering which stop the sunshine to fall on the ground. Due to this, some plants climb on the trees and reach at the top of the trees. These plants are termed as the epiphyte. They are not parasite. Okay. And now I'm sharing you today's home task. You have to draw a mind map on adaptation in plants. 3 points on each adaptation. Means on every adaptation which I shared, I'm showing you here 3 points, here. So in this way, if you have taken the screenshots of these slides, it is very much beneficial for you to complete this question because you have to make a mind map on adaptation in plants and 3 points on each adaptation. Next question, define ecosystem and name its components. You also find the definition of ecosystem from your book and from the slides which I have shared. And also you just write down the name its components. And the work is draw a pond ecosystem. You can draw a pond ecosystem or an aquarium. A pond ecosystem or an aquarium from your book, page number 40. One more question that you do question number 1C and D from book exercise on page 40. The question 1C is, what are the important features of natural environment? As we have shared on the slides, the climate, the soil, the living organisms, other living organisms, and the landscape. So you have to write down about these features. And the question D, 1D is define the term habitat, environment, community, and population. I already shared these definitions in the slide that you have received. And I hope you already taken the screenshots of all the slides. This is very much beneficial for you to complete your written work. It is all about today's session.